YouTube. And I'm going to explain with everybody, I'm just going to prep everybody that this is a radio show. So there will be breaks and there will be repetition and there will be a lot of different things. We're also going to have Del Bellis join us in the middle of the show to talk about Liberty Health Share and my wonderful sponsor. So those are things that we need to do. But today I am so excited because we are going to be talking about a subject that has been brought to my attention. And Professor Paul Connett was on my show, gosh, I think it was at the beginning of the year. And he did an incredible job making us aware of the dangers of fluoride and fluoridation in our water. And that's when I met Melissa. So I'm excited to share her story. So with all of you, and some of the things that you're going to hear today are going to be new and other things are going to seem elementary, but because this is a radio show and people go in and out and listen every 15 minutes, there may be a little bit of repetition, and it may be, so for some of you, kind of elementary, but we're still trying to get people to catch up with the science. And so if you're ready, fasten your seatbelt because we are going to learn and grow in our classroom today. So hit it. Let's do it. The mics will be muted soon.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who have been tuning in to the Lillian McDermott radio show since 2011, or maybe just started listening yesterday, welcome back. I am so grateful for you. But if this is the first time that you've tuned in to the show, just know that I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends on Facebook Live who are joining us for the live broadcast will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, I did mention my Facebook Live tribe because if you join us on Facebook at Lillian's Radio Show, so facebook.com/Lillian's Radio Show, you are part of the live broadcast and you can be interactive. You get to meet our guests, our teachers. Everybody is like part of this growing responsibility, this awareness. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and somehow we're okay with someone saying this or that, but we very seldom take the time to verify the information. So I just recently was introduced to the concept of fluoride in my water. Although we've known about it, and we've known, when we were kids about fluoride in our teeth, and, I don't know if I remember, it was a pink tablet and we'd chew on it and it was supposed to make our teeth strong and beautiful. And we did all that, but now we're ingesting it and we're drinking it. And so I was made aware of this and I thought, let me learn a little bit more. And so we dipped our toe with Dr. Paul Connett, and he shared some more about this information. And in comes this awareness presentation that I attended in Brevard County. And that's when I met Melissa Gallico. And she is the author of The Hidden Causes of Acne. And for those of you who would like the book, you know that there's going to be a giveaway. So be the fifth caller. I'm going to make this as easy because this is information that needs to be in your hand. So the hidden causes of acne, how toxic water is affecting your health, and what you can do about it, because we're all about responsibility. And guess what? If you have a child, and you, or not a child, not just if you are 15, if you have someone in your family that you want to give the other book that we're going to give away, it's F is for Fluoride, a feasible fairy tale for free-thinking 15-year-olds and up. So I was telling Melissa that this is the first book I've read cover to cover and loved every single page. And so I am really grateful that Melissa is here, because of her experience with fluoride and acne. It led her to a new passion. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Melissa Gallico is here to do just that. Welcome, Melissa, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
And I'm excited that you were here. And after reading your bio and learning about your background, I'm thinking, wow, you need to share with us your background and what you were doing before you became this beautiful activist.
My background is as an intelligence analyst. I started off in the military, and then after 5 years there, I moved over to the FBI as an intelligence analyst. And fluoride came into the picture because I traveled so much with my job that I was living overseas in countries that didn't add fluoride to the water. Mm-hmm. And then I would come back to the US and live in different states in the US. And every time I lived in the United States, I had very severe, painful cystic acne, and I couldn't figure out why. And finally, after 20 years of this, I was able to figure out that it was the fluoride in the water supply.
Yes, and here you are thinking that this is something that is new, right? But there are other people that had discovered this along the way, and now you are making sure that everybody knows about it.
Yeah, I don't want people to have to discover this for themselves over and over again. This information is already available, and we just have to get it out to the right people. I think it's a much more common condition than anyone realizes.
Yes. And so today we are giving the fifth caller. Okay. So for the broadcast on Facebook Live, if you're watching Facebook Live, be the fifth message that you send me, the private message on Messenger, and you will get a copy of this book. And it's The Hidden Causes of Acne. Also, if you have someone that is 15 and up, then you can get F is for Fluoride, because Melissa Gallico is that generous that she is giving. And I'm loving all the love that we're getting. Now, if you're listening on the radio or you're watching on Facebook Live, just know that we will also remember you. Be the fifth caller or texter, 407-373-5959, or you can be a messenger at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com if you're watching us on YouTube later on. And we're going to continue our conversation with Melissa Gallico when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you.
I'll be right here waiting for you.
So I would love to have this conversation off on the air, because this is so important, but I just wanted to catch your thoughts because we haven't spoken about this. But did you ever think you would be in this position at this time, taking a stand for our water and our safety of water?
Not at all. No, I never thought about it. I never thought about fluoride even. I didn't know about the controversy around it. And I was really just focused on my career. I was never interested in, going into the health profession, or I never was particularly active in environmental causes. But just the more I learned about fluoridation, and then the more I connected with other people who had this condition and didn't know it. until they read my book. That just made me think I need to get this out there to more people, and we need to stop putting fluoride in the water supply.
Absolutely. And this is, when the first time I heard about it, I couldn't believe it. So I did my own research. As you know, I have to do my own research because this is a show about a new truth. And once I go through it and I realize, okay, this is now my new truth, then what I do is I invite the people to share and for all of us to research. I don't want anybody to just listen to what I say or to whatever my expert says, my teacher says. I want us all to find this, and I want us to get it during the broadcast. Also want to learn, your resources so that we can empower ourselves. And in the plan, I told you we're going to talk about the plan on the fourth segment, because, or maybe in the next segment, because we have Del Billis joining us. But it's so important. So Tracy and Allie, and let us know if you're watching, where you're watching from, because this is worldwide, and it's always exciting to see people that are watching outside of the United States. And so that if you are watching from outside the United States and you still want a copy of The Hidden Cause of Acne, then you will get a PDF, because that'll be a little easier to do it that way. And we don't want to exclude my worldwide audience here, my worldwide friends. And so it looks like we're about to get started. But if you guys have any questions for Melissa, feel free to write them down and we will address them during the break. Is that good? So how does that sound, Melissa?
Sounds great.
Perfect.
When you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show / classroom, where we always learn together. And today's teacher is Melissa Gallico. And she is giving away for the fifth caller or texter, whether you're listening on the live broadcast on Facebook Live at Lillian's radio show, or you're stumbling upon us on the radio or listening on the radio or watching us later on YouTube, you too can participate. Fifth caller, texter, messenger, email, whatever it is, you are a part of the show. We will remember you everywhere that you're at, and we're very grateful that you are joining us. And thank you for all. And Melissa, I want to say thank you for your service as well, because there's so many people out there that are fighting for our freedom, that have a military suit, but you're no longer in the military, right? You're not. So you've pretty much retired from your service, but you continue to serve. And that's one of the things that I want to drive today, is that we are always in service. And that's the way to live, whether you wear a uniform or you're teaching our children or you're standing up for our rights, for information, you are serving our country. So thank you so much, Melissa, for your part in doing that too, as well.
Thank you.
So during the break, I said, did you ever think that this was going to be a way that you were going to give back to our community, which is to help us with the fluoride in our water? And so, of course, for people that were listening to you, we're not surprised. We're not surprised that the answer to that was no. But here's the thing. Now that you are doing this and you're taking a stand, how sure are you? And what did you do to research this information so you can empower us to do the same?
So this wasn't something that I decided overnight, that my skin issues were caused by fluoride. It's something that I've lived with my whole life, and I became aware of it over 10 years ago. It was really that last big trip. I lived in Scotland for a year, and they've never fluoridated their water supply. And that is where it was the starkest difference, because I would come home to the United States for a week to visit, and immediately I'd have that reaction. Mm-hmm. So that was really the last clue that helped me figure out that it was fluoride. And then even once I had that theory in my head, I tested it for years. Like, I'm still testing it, because anytime I will accidentally consume a food or a beverage that contains fluoride, I have this reaction immediately within 24 hours. So it's just every single time for 10 years that my skin confirms this reaction, that's how I know it. And then also, I thought it was a rare condition. I put together like a free PDF guide and I gave it away to people in case they had this rare allergy, that I had. Here's how you can cure it. Here are the foods that contain fluoride, pesticides, and here are the beverages that are made with fluoridated water. So, and I heard from so many people that had the same experience as me. So that was another way to know that what I was experiencing in my own health and my own personal life wasn't an anomaly. This is something that happens with other people too. And I think you met Linda, who is the reason that we connected. She invited you and she also invited me to that presentation. And she had acne for 35 years and didn't know that it was caused by fluoride. So just connecting with people like her and reading through the literature, when you look through the scientific literature on acne and on fluoride, it just makes sense. It was like a puzzle everything was falling into place. Like it made so much sense that that fluoride was a main trigger for acne for a lot of people.
Now, you said you lived in Scotland for a year and you didn't have acne during that time. Is there anything wrong with the Scottish people without having fluoride in their water? Is this something that we need to have?
They actually have a great program. It's called the Child Smile program, I think, where they focus on oral health care for children. So they're not putting fluoride in their water, but they're putting an extra emphasis on oral hygiene. And that's really a more effective way to prevent cavities through proper oral hygiene, getting children to the dentist twice a year for a cleaning, and really nutrition is a really, really big part of it. And that's why a lot of children will struggle when their diet has empty calories or too much sugar, and they're not getting the nutrient dense foods that their bodies need.
So they're basically forcing the fluoride upon us in our water without even our consent. We just take it for granted that our water is really good. So you immediately thought it was the water, or did you know it was fluoride? Had you been looking at fluoride at that time? You said, well, after being in Scotland for a year and coming over here, you knew it was the fluoride, but how did you get to fluoride? Because there's also chlorine, there's other chemicals, there's pesticides, there's pharmaceutical drugs in our water. How did you know it was the fluoride? What was it that gave it away?
Good question. So I had figured out that it was something in the water pretty early on. I would say probably 10 years before that. I knew when I got to a new location, I'd wash my face, and sometimes it felt like it would sting. Like it wasn't that obvious, like a stinging feeling, but it would leave like a sheen on my face. It just felt very uncomfortable washing my face in certain water supplies. And so I suspected it was something in the water. My first thought was lead, because that's a very common contaminant that you think of. And I couldn't find a correlation with that. I started washing my face with bottled water at that point. This was 10 years before I figured out the fluoride connection. But I never really thought about drinking the fluoride, that would cause acne. And I came to that. It was strange. I was talking to a physician, actually, and I was telling her about my experience with acne, and I just felt like it was something in the water, and I was about to take a sip of water. And I was like, I wonder if it could be fluoride. It just popped into my head because I had read literature that fluoride can cause acne topically. It's not actually acne. It's a condition called perioral dermatitis, and that's well documented in the literature. So I thought, well, if fluoride can cause acne or can cause that reaction topically, maybe when you drink it. And it was so easy to test it because all I had to do was switch to a different water source for a few weeks. And right away, I saw a dramatic improvement. I thought, I have to be onto something here. And that's when I started learning, well, what else has fluoride in it? And eventually I was able to weed out all of those hidden sources of fluoride, because it sneaks into our diet in ways you would never expect. But I was able to root out all of those hidden sources and completely clear my skin, even though I was living in the United States in a fluoridated community.
And to look at you today, and to look at Linda, when I met with her as well, you would never know that that was an issue. But, somebody would say, well, Acne, no big deal. But let me tell you, I never had acne growing up. And when I was in my 30s, like my mid 30s, early to mid 30s, I started getting cystic acne too. And I was put on Accutane. And let me tell you, that was not good. And the people that, we hear about side effects. We hear about side effects all the time, but we ignore the side effects. I got lots of side effects from that. And who knows if I'm hoping it's out of my body at this point. But, let's talk about how it was like for you to have cystic acne, because I know it was terrible for me.
Yeah, and the acne is really just a symptom of a deeper problem. So yes, the acne was horrible. It was very hard, trying to be a professional, I was a military officer. I had to command a ship, I had to drive the ship and tell people what to do. And here I am, 5'2" female with all of these pimples. It's really hard professionally, and just personally, socially, it's difficult. But then on top of that, you have the way that the fluoride is affecting your body that you can't see. It's been shown to depress thyroid function, and so many people have depressed thyroid function. And that's actually how Linda came to learn about the fluoride connection, because her doctor prescribed a medication for low thyroid. And she said, I don't want to do that right now. Let me look into it. And she learned that fluoride is correlated with low thyroid, cut it out of her diet. Her thyroid resolved and her acne went away. And so these things are all connected. In my book, I have a whole chapter about depression, because that's something that I never would have described myself as a depressed person. But now that I am not on fluoride and I can feel the difference, I look back and think, I feel like I was depressed all of those years, and I didn't know it because I never knew anything else. I never knew what it felt like to have clear skin naturally, and to not have fluoride interfering with my mood and the way my brain was functioning.
Yeah. And, when I learned about that you were washing your face with bottled water, you know what I did? I started washing my face with my Zip purifying water. So it's a zero.
Yeah.
So people that have, because we're going to be giving this away on the show when we do our water fast, but it's a over the counter zero installation process for a reverse osmosis system. It's called Zip.
Awesome.
And
Yes.
so we're going to be giving 4 away.
Nice.
Yes. And so when we do that, so I'm hoping that people will get excited about learning. So last night, because I've been experiencing some little things in my face, and I normally, my skin is cleared up, but with the different things, because there's so many different ways that we can make our body better and help our bodies heal. But there's just been this little tweaking that needs to be happen. So last night I washed my face, and this week I've been washing my face with my reverse osmosis water, and almost overnight there was a difference in my skin. So for those of you who are watching and have acne, and just try it with bottled water. When you said bottled water, you're not concerned about the BPAs in the plastic?
Well, back then I didn't know anything about that. This was, 20 years ago. So I would just do that. The water from the tap didn't work for me. I think I tried distilled water, and I washed my face with that. And I was like, okay, this works. I'm going to stick with it. And I didn't know why it worked. I just knew it worked.
Intuition. Isn't intuition just unbelievable? And we have spent our whole life trying to just ignore our intuition. We're the only species that ignores our intuition. You see a deer drinking in the in the forest, and all of a sudden they sense something and they look up and they leave. The next thing you know, when you're seeing these forests, is a lion comes in, but not us. We feel like there's something wrong and we go towards it. We hold on to our purse and we go towards the mess. And so I'm glad that you listen to your intuition and that you're helping us learn. So we're gonna be giving this book away. It's called The Hidden Cause of Acne. And so how toxic is our water? We're going to discuss that during the break, because we need to empower ourselves. 407-373-5959, fifth caller or texter. If you're watching on Facebook during the live broadcast, send me a private message and be the one to send me the message, and you'll get a copy of the book. And of course, with YouTube, Lily at whenyouneedafriend.com. And so with this in mind, Melissa, during the break, because I know we have a shorter time frame with us, I really do want to talk about, how do we know if this is acne from food, acne from, oils that we're using, or if it's acne from the actual fluoride in our water? Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay. So for those of you, you heard it, that you can be a part of this audience by going to Lillian's radio show and liking me there. You can join us right now if you like and be a part of this conversation and be the fifth caller or texter. But we're not just giving away the hidden causes. We're also giving you F is not for fluoride. If you have someone that's 15 and up, it's a great read, let me tell you. And we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting.
I'll be right here waiting for you.
Okay, so we lost connectivity. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now I can.
Yes.
Okay. It always works to unmute your mic. So for those of you, let me just make sure that we're still on Facebook. And I think it was Dale's magnetism. When it comes on, things happen, right, Dale?
They do.
Welcome, Dale. And
Thank
Dale
you.
is with Liberty Health Share. So I was just about to ask you, let me make sure that we are on Facebook Live. I think we are. Yep, I think we are. Let me make sure that we are still live. I think we are. Okay, so with that in mind, let's catch everybody up. Let's catch Dale. So Dale, we were talking about Melissa's story about every time she went overseas in the military. She was in the military, traveled a lot. She was fine, but whenever she came to the United States, she would get acne. So she discovered that it was the fluoride in her water. So I'm going to continue with that. I don't know if you've ever had any issues with acne or if you had any children that had issues with acne, but certainly worth looking into. Right, Melissa?
Yes, I think it's a very common condition. We just don't know a lot about it.
So my question is, how do we know that the acne we are experiencing is from the fluoride versus from anything else?
The easiest way to know is to run that test like I did, like figure out where you're getting fluoride in your diet. Is it through your water supply? There are certain food items that are high in fluoride, and then eliminating them and see if it goes away. So you should see a dramatic improvement within a week or two. And then the opposite is true too. If you have, a bunch of water that's fluoridated, you should see that reaction in your skin within a day or two. There's that cause and effect reaction. So that's the best way to test. There are also some other indicators, like if you have a history of high fluoride exposure, if you have dental fluorosis, which is a condition when children are overexposed to fluoride when their teeth are forming, you can actually see that in the tooth enamel. your dentist will be able to tell you if you have dental fluorosis or your children have dental fluorosis. But that's a sign of overexposure to fluoride. So that's another, just like a signal that you might be sensitive to fluoride.
Very good. So we can start looking at children. So for those of you who would like a copy of the book, because you're watching us on Facebook Live, you get to be the first ones to go for this. We've got 2 books for you. We've got The Hidden Cause of Acne and F is for Fluoride. And we're about to get muted. Here we go.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show / classroom, where you're heard worldwide. This is a worldwide classroom where we all learn together. And today's teacher is Melissa Gallico. And as I mentioned earlier, the 5th caller or texter will get this book, The Hidden Cause of Acne. Of course, if you're watching on Facebook Live, you will also, 5th message that you get me, or if you are watching on YouTube, you can send me an email at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. The number you can call is 407-373-5959. Now, instead of going into different ways to communicate with me, I just want to get a little bit more information, because there's a lot of information about fluoride that I want to be able to bring out before Dale joins us. So, Melissa, I know that you've gone through a lot to discover this information. And in going through this, you don't want us to reinvent the wheel. What can we do today? Of course, you've shared how to eliminate fluoride. But what else is in fluoride that we can start eliminating, and what else can we do to start creating safety in our water?
So the big ones to look out for, besides your water, are black tea. Tea is a plant that it just happens to uptake fluoride naturally from the soil in significant amounts. So black tea contains a lot of fluoride. Green tea and white tea can also contain fluoride, but black tea is the most. And then the other big offenders were chicken products. Mm-hmm. So fluoride accumulates in your teeth, but it also accumulates in your bones, and it stays there for decades. So when animals are consuming fluoride, it gets into their bones as well. So poultry bones in particular can be very high in fluoride. And this was the source of some of my worst breakouts, was chicken soup. And chicken soup is supposed to be good for you. It's supposed to be healthy. But when those animals are consuming fluoride, and they do not just in their water, but in their diet, because fluoride is a common pesticide. And the legal limits for fluoride on animal feed are very high, like over 100 times higher than what we have in our water supply. So they're exposed to a lot of fluoride. It accumulates in their bones, and then it ends up in chicken soup. It ends up in ground poultry products, or like chicken hot dogs. Like heavily processed poultry products tend to have little shards of bone, and that's where you're getting the fluoride from. Fluoride pesticides are also commonly used on grape crops in California. So wine, grape juice.
Yeah, I'm staying away from California.
Yes, yeah, unfortunately, because there are, I'm sure, a lot of good products from California as well, but it's really hard to know which ones are using fluoride-based pesticides, and it's very heavily used there. So even like Washington State, they don't use it. It's a certain pest that is only in this one area of California, and that's why they use fluoride pesticides there. So that's something to look out for as well. And then there's a lot of other sources like that are made with fluoridated water, like cereal. You know, you wouldn't think cereal contains water, like a box breakfast cereal, but because of the way it's processed, the water evaporates and it condenses the fluoride in the cereal. So cereal can contain a lot of fluoride if it's processed in a plant that uses fluoridated water.
Interesting. Okay, so the big question is, how do we get fluoride out of our water? Because let me tell you, not too long ago, Dale, as a matter of fact, Dale was joining us when we were talking about informed choice. informed choice and freedom of choice and making a decision. This is not what I want. And we were talking about vaccinations, as a matter of fact. And so I want to add Dale into this conversation because, this falls in line with this. How do we get this fluoride out of our water, and what can we do about it? What's the plan?
Well, there are a lot of different approaches, but if you're living in a town that puts fluoride in their water, there's no law for that unless your state has a law. Some states mandate that there's water and fluoride in all the water supplies. So in that case, you'll have to take action at the state level and get them to change that law. There are very few countries that require fluoride in the water supply. Ireland is one. So if you're in Ireland, you'll have to take action at the national level. But here in the United States, usually it's the local level, which means your city council. And there have been a lot of communities that have been very successful in organizing and then telling their city council they don't want it in the water supply. And the city council is paying to put this fluoride in the water supply. So if you get the right mix of people, they don't give you a hard time with that. Sometimes the American Dental Association gets involved, which is the trade organization, the lobbying group for dentists, and they are very pro-fluoride. They don't think there are any negative side effects of it for anyone, and they want it in the water supply. So sometimes when they get involved, it ends up in a fight. There's the people who don't want it in the water, and then you have these big lobbying groups, and they just email all the local dentists who will show up and say that, oh, it's perfectly safe for everyone. So that can be, you really have to be organized locally for that to get your city council to change. But it's possible. Dozens and dozens of cities in the last 5 years, I think over 70 cities have ended fluoridation.
And good job that you are helping us there. And for those of us that think that the government is going to take care of us, just know that DDT was, I've been doing some research that the government said that DDT was really good for us. And they were spraying kids, and they were spraying the crop, and they were spraying everybody. And there had been no research on it. And now the fluoride is good for the teeth, but the problem is when we ingest it, when we drink it, that is the issue. So I want to bring Del Billis on this conversation because I know he probably has a lot to say about this. And he is the founder and chairman of Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a sponsor of the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, and I'm so thrilled every time he's on. Welcome, Dale, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show.
What a pleasure to be with you, and thanks for this education, Melissa.
Thank you.
It is a little talked about health risk. And I'm grateful for the information that you're bringing to us. I'm just curious that you can tell us, what's the tradition that has developed around fluoride that would cause us through the years to just simply impose it on the population without our consent?
Yes.
Well, I think most people don't realize this, but at its core, fluoridation is a pollution scandal. And we've seen that before, like you said, with DDT, where corporations, they manipulate the science, in such a way that it makes it, they are trying to convince us that this pollutant, this toxic chemical is actually good for you. And fluoride is a very common air pollutant. And in the mid 20th century, it was the leading form of air pollution. And these companies, they were doing like mining operations, so digging up things like aluminum or phosphate, were emitting toxic levels of fluoride into the atmosphere. And they were getting sued from coast to coast because they were killing crops, they were killing livestock, and they were harming people. So they sponsored all of this science to refute those legal claims. And that's where the science came from that says, oh, fluoride is good for you. It was used in court. So they did a great job of manipulating the government into thinking that fluoride is safe when it is not. And it's really a pollution scandal.
Well, it's thrilling to me to hear that there is a growing wave of resistance to fluoridation, and that there have been successful efforts on the grassroots level to limit fluoride and eliminate it.
I think
so. Are there resources that folks can go to that would help them in their efforts in appealing to their local officials?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that.
It's part of the plan. It's part of the plan.
We just we're in Melbourne, which is where I met Lily and Linda, the reader that I mentioned earlier. And out of that experience, I ended up creating a free guide how to tackle fluoridation in your community. It's just a PDF file. It's 20 some pages. It's not very long, but it's how to get your footing in ending fluoridation, a local effort to end fluoridation. And in addition to the guide, I'm giving people free resources like a website. I have a website.
Go ahead and share the website, Melissa.
No, I mean, like if they want a website for their group, like say with Linda, Fluoride Free Brevard, I created the website for her. It's a template. I give it to her. It's on Wix, which is a free platform for hosting a website. And they're up and running. They have a group. They have a website. They can collect email addresses for a newsletter and start organizing to build a coalition of people who want to end fluoridation in their community. So I give them all of these tips. I have a flyer that they can adapt, to their area. There's a brochure that they can give out, how to hold events. I have a sample petition that they could use. Mm-hmm. And I also have a sample Freedom of Information Act request so that they can get information from their local community about, have there been any spills? Where does the fluoride come from? Most people are shocked to learn that our communities are buying fluoride directly from phosphate fertilizer plants in Florida. That's where 90% of the fluoride used in public water supplies comes from. It's actually a chemical called hexafluorosilicic acid, which is a hazardous waste product of phosphate fertilizer mining. And they're putting that directly in the water supply.
It's amazing. For those of you who want to learn more, you can go to gallico.co, right? That's
yes.
Gallico.co. You can also go to hiddencauseofacne.com and be the 5th caller or texter, 407-373-5959, or messenger or email lily@whenyouneedafriend.com to start your research as well. It's about learning and having a voice, speaking up, not on my body, no more. 407-373-5959, and we're going to continue our conversation with Del Bellis, Melissa Gallico, when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you.
Right here waiting for
So for those of you who are watching on Facebook Live, if you have any questions, yes, they can do this without our consent, right? At least right now with vaccinations, Dale, we have to, it's not forced upon us, but this is forced upon us. How is this allowed? How is this allowed, Melissa?
I think they just succeeded in convincing enough people, the right people, that this was necessary. And even now, when we had that hearing in Melbourne, a lot of citizens stood up and said, I don't want this. I have thyroid issues. I have a special needs child. I'm a chemically sensitive person because I was exposed to toxic mold and I don't want fluoride in my water. But they disregarded all of that because there were there was a platoon of dentists there who said, no, this is safe. It's effective. We need it. And that's all they wanted. That's all they needed to hear.
Yeah. And Dale, I was there at a meeting before. It was like an information. We had Dr. Chris Edwards, who was there, and he spoke up and he was for fluoridation. But now he really feels bad that he did what he did. And so now he's trying to rectify it. But then they bring their big team of people. And so Dale, I'm sure that you have felt like overwhelmed by the giant too. And so Cher, have you been able to overcome that?
Well, as Americans, we all cherish our individual rights, freedom, want to be engaged in being a part of the decision-making where it affects and impacts our own lives. Mm-hmm. Wherever government, either local or regional or national, impose choices and decisions on us without our consent, it is within our tradition as Americans to rise up and resist that kind of monolithic imposition of rules and regs that impact our individual health. And I've seen this time and time again as it relates to healthcare sharing, simply bringing to the awareness of public officials, here's an entire category or entire population that utilizes this methodology of paying for healthcare. Don't assume that we're all a part of the tradition of insurance in America. We have our own traditions. Respect it. And so consequently, I've been a part of activating entire populations and states to insist on that right. I've been a part of passing legislation in 31 states that really provide protections for healthcare sharing, inserting an exemption within the Affordable Care Act for this same tradition. It just simply necessitates an informed populace and a motivation and a desire to get engaged and involved in protecting our individual rights.
I love Del Bellis and I love Liberty Health Share. For those of you who want to learn more about taking your health back, this is truly affordable care. It's 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-585-4237. You can go to libertyhealthshare.org. I'm a member, and I walked away from insurance because I wanted to take my health back 3 years ago. Right, Dale?
That's right.
3 years ago. And I know we're about to get muted, so here we go. It's time to dance, everybody.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show /Classroom, where we always learn together. Today's teacher is Melissa Gallico, and we also have the chairman and founder of Liberty Health Share, Del Bellis, who has, every time we talk about something like this where I could just see, Dale, how you have had passion to create what you have created through Liberty Health Share. Not only are you a sponsor, but I am a member of Liberty Health Share. Share a little bit about why it is that you're so passionate about our rights.
Because it's a grassroots movement. It's people coming together to address a real crisis in America, but it's arising from the people. It's not top-down, centrally planned, one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
It's people coming together, providing solutions and answers to meeting healthcare costs, where literally as a community, we make a commitment to pay one another's medical bills. And then should I have a bill, that group is there to pay my costs. So every month, my money is going to help another person pay their bill.
Yes. And for those of you who've heard us talk about Liberty Health Share, you can call 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-585-4237, or you can go to libertyhealthshare.org. For those of you who are tired of insurance and people telling you what to do, this is a wonderful option, regardless of whether or not you're tired of insurance or not. This is truly affordable. And Dale, how do you do that? How do you keep this like-mindedness and this protection for us when it comes to true health care? How do you keep it so affordable?
Well, it's in the hands of the individual member. It's their money and the money of their fellow members, that they have skin in the game. And so it really gives a whole different motivation when it comes to healthcare costs and managing those expenses. It's our dollars at stake. We got skin in the game. That's the change of mentality. I got to tell you this quick story, Lillian.
Yeah.
My wife was asked by her doctor to have an MRI done with and without contrast. She was directed to the local hospital. She asked, how much is this going to be? Lillian, they didn't know. It took them 2 days to get back to her to determine, to tell her that it was going to be $3,800.
Wow.
He shopped it around, found a local imaging center, $750. Same
Isn't it
test,
amazing?
same quality, same results. It's because our dollars are at stake with Liberty Health Shares, not some third party paying the bill. It's our money, and that's what makes the difference.
And so when you hear that there's fluoride in our water, that it may be in your water too, Dale, and here it is that it's affecting our bones, it could be affecting our skin, and cystic acne, you know, someone say, okay, it's just acne, but that affects our self-esteem. It affects so many different aspects of who we are, and it's being added to our water without our consent. What do you say about that? Are you ready to?
I'm outraged. I'm outraged by it because it's our bodies at stake. It's our health. And it's not the government's role to make decisions about my health and well-being. I'm a creature created by God with a responsibility morally and spiritually to care for my health. Those are my decisions to be made with freedom and liberty. That's my response. I mean, we need to make a campaign across America to bring awareness and engagement on this matter. And talking about acne and the hidden causes, it's just fascinating to me that this linkage has been observed. But we share in those costs associated with the care of acne. It can be a scourge in some individuals' lives.
Yeah.
And so that is a recognized and acknowledged cost and expense associated with the care of our health. So it's good to know about this linkage.
Yeah, and not only that, when you're thinking about the side effects, because they're not going to look at the water, right, Melissa? They didn't look at your water.
Never.
Did they give you medication? Like they gave me Accutane.
Yes, I took Accutane, I took prescription creams, and like you said, they all have side effects, very serious side effects.
So now, okay, because I want to be about being proactive, we can eliminate certain things. We can do our testing by eliminating our water, using bottled water or reverse osmosis water, that whatever they want to do. But what else can we do to make sure that we get the fluoride out of our area? Because we're being heard worldwide. In our area, let's talk about our action, the plan. Let's talk about the plan.
The plan. So I do have a cheat sheet. It goes along with chapter 4 of the book, which is the chapter all about the different sources of fluoride. So we talked about the main ones, or you could get that cheat sheet in the book, or even signing up to my newsletter, it automatically sends you the cheat sheet. So that gives you all of these other sources like fluorinated pharmaceuticals. There are a lot of drugs that contain fluoride, and different sources like that. And then once you get it out of your diet and your water supply, that should be enough to heal acne. But it is very difficult when you go out to eat or when you're visiting a friend and you're, or staying with your parents and you want to shower in fluoridated water. That's really difficult. It's hard to get fluoride out of shower water or bathing water. So that's really where you have to take it to your decision makers and tell them not to put fluoride in the water supply. So the plan on the national level for me is, that's why I wrote my book and I centered it around acne, because there's only so many people who will read a book about fluoride, and there are already some great books about fluoride. Like you had Dr. Conant on, and who wrote The Case Against Fluoride. It's a great book. But I wrote my book about acne because I wanted to connect with different people who weren't aware of fluoride. So they're not interested in fluoride, but they're interested in acne and healing their acne. So I want to reach a whole different group of people. And that's why I wrote the book that I did. And that's why I wrote F is for fluoride, because some people don't like to read big scientific books. So I wrote like
cover
a
to
children's
cover
book. Yeah. It's actually for adults. That's why I said 15 and up. It's not actually a children's book, but it tells the whole story of fluoride, and it has a lot of scientific references in the back so people can go and verify what I'm saying in the book. And then I have a petition at change.org. You can sign it if you go to my website, gallico.co, GALLICO.co. The petition is for the Senate subcommittee on drinking water to do a congressional hearing on fluoridation, which they haven't done since the 70s. And I want to get the story out there about fluoride being a pollution scandal, about the controversy around it. So I'm launching a podcast. I did my first episode was an interview with Dr. Hardy Lineback, who was the former president of the Canadian Association of Dental Research, and he actually changed his mind on fluoridation. He was the head of preventive dentistry of the University of Toronto, changed his mind on fluoridation. So this initial episode, we talked about why he changed his mind and what happened after that. It actually had a very negative impact on his career.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the series, I'm going to be interviewing some big names. Erin Brockovich has agreed to come on and talk about fluoridation and the current water crisis. I have some scientists from EPA. The EPA union voted unanimously to oppose fluoridation because they looked into it when EPA scientists were coming to them saying, we're being pressured to say that this is okay, that fluoride is safe, and it's not. And that's how the union got involved. And they testified in front of the Senate subcommittee on drinking water, calling for an immediate moratorium on fluoridation. That was in 2000, June of 2000.
I know. And it's slow as molasses because somebody's making a lot of money off of us. And it's very, very sad. I know we have to wrap it up, but we're going to continue our conversation off the air after the show on Facebook Live at Lillian's radio show. I want to make sure that you guys all support my sponsors, Liberty Health Share, find out a little bit more. Dale, every time you come on the show, you just raise the vibration even higher. So thank you so much, Dale.
What a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation, Lillian. And God bless you, Melissa. May your tribe increase.
Thank you. You as well.
I love that blessing. And for those of you, Melissa, thank you so much for your information and your passion. Who knew that after serving the military, you would continue serving us through your passion and getting our water safe. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And to you, my listening, viewing friends, just know that the books are yours. All you have to do is call and email or send 407-373-5959. And please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day
ever.
Yeah, that's it. That's my ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Dale. I don't know if you have any time, if you have another interview that you have.
I do. I have another one to jump right on to now.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Liberty
What a
Health
pleasure.
Share. Make sure you go to Liberty Health Share. That's libertyhealthshare.org. Thank you, Dale. You're an amazing man. Thank you.
God bless.
So, Melissa, now that we have a private audience and it's just us chickens here with fluoride-free bones, let's talk about how long does it take? How long does it take for bones to eliminate the fluoride? How do we get rid of the toxicity of fluoride?
Well, fluoride stays in your bone for a long time. The National Academy of Sciences estimates that the half-life of fluoride in bone is 20 years. That means when you're consuming fluoride today and some of it goes into your bones, half of it will still be there 20 years from now. But of course, there are a lot of factors that come into play. That's just kind of a general, an average that they're saying. So it depends on how you detoxify and the other nutrients in your diet. And I actually have a whole chapter in the book. The last chapter is all about my experience trying to detoxify fluoride that's stored in my body.
So for those of us that refuse, and this is what I do now, Melissa, because of the experience with fluoride, I don't drink any more tap water. Everything, I wash my vegetables, everything in filtered water. But I also have the RO system, and I carry my water everywhere I go. And, I stopped doing glass, and now I'm doing stainless steel. And the reason I'm doing that is because we don't want plastic in our water. We don't want our water to heat up when it's in glass. And so do you have any other recommendations? Like when I walk in with my bottle in a restaurant now, because I'm not going to drink their water anymore.
I do the same thing. I've actually gotten very accustomed to not drinking a lot of water when I eat a meal. So sometimes I'll have a glass of water before I go to a restaurant, and that way, I don't. Sometimes I feel uncomfortable like taking out my own water, so that way I'm used to not drinking a lot of water with meals. It's actually supposed to be good for your digestion to not have a
Yes,
lot of
it is.
water.
It
So
is.
that worked out.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll order, a lot of restaurants will carry like Aquapana, and I know that is low in fluoride, so I'll order that if they have it. Or you could get a glass of wine if you drink wine from anywhere other than California, and usually those are very low in fluoride. So there are some options, but eating out is very difficult.
Yeah, not to pinpoint California here and making them the villain, but there is something called mega purple that they're also adding to wine to make cheaper wines or waters wine with more water to look more robust. And it's like remember the pink sludge they were adding to our meat to make it look like fuller, and it wasn't really meat. It was just pink sludge is what they called it. And so there's so many people think that nobody would allow this to happen. So other than acne, what are the other side effects that fluoridation can cause in the body other than the bones? We're looking at acne. What else?
Well, everyone reacts to fluoride differently. It's you're drinking it, so it's going throughout your system.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned thyroid, which is a big one.
And I have a thyroid condition too. Yeah.
It's millions and millions of people in America, probably because we're putting a thyroid depressant in the water supply. But other than that, some people get migraines from fluoride. So if you have chronic migraines, it's something to definitely try eliminating fluoride and see if you notice a difference. Gastrointestinal problems. Long-term, there are a lot of studies about how fluoride affects the brain. So cognitive development of children or cognitive development in utero. So before children are born, even they can be affected by the mother consuming fluoride.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of very concerning studies. And these are prestigious studies. Some of them are funded by our government. There's one that came out recently from Mexico, but it was funded by the federal government. Harvard researchers have done a meta-analysis of all of the literature on the neurotoxicity of fluoride, and they concluded that there is a very good chance that fluoride is a neurotoxin for children and that we need to make it a high research priority. And I think that is so alarming to think that we've been fluoridating the water supply for over 70 years, and the National Toxicology Program is admitting that we don't know how fluoride affects children's brains at the level that we're putting it in the water supply. So that just right there, we need to stop it right away. Right.
How can we test it? This is, and of course we read like, I remember when my kids were little, it was one out of, I think it was 1 out of 100 had, one in 10,000 when my kids were little of autism. And then now it's like 1 in 80 that will get autism. And now they're talking about cancer and all these things that are on the rise. There's got to be something that we're doing in our, that we're not even aware of. And I think the first thing, what I hope that will come out of this conversation, Melissa, is that we take our health back, that we stop taking for granted that someone is looking out for us, because they're not.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's so true. Our government, and I've worked in government for a long time, with the FBI, and it's just it's so big. It's such a big bureaucratic organization, and there's so many ways for corporations and other special interest groups to influence public health policy and we've seen it over and over again with how the sugar industry, influenced, they've even had a hand in the science on fluoride, because they pushed fluoridation as a way to distract from the fact that sugar causes cavities. Cavities are caused by excess sugar consumption. And they knew that. They've known that for decades, and they systemically targeted dental research and pushed fluoridation as a way to distract from that fact.
Isn't that the way it is?
Yeah,
it's even okay, I'm just going to go into this right now. I don't know how much time we have left, but but this is just our conversation right now, even with vaccine. And I've done a lot of shows. I've done a show with Del Bigtree. I've done shows with Andrew Wakefield, and I've done shows with Judy Mikovits. And I am convinced after doing the research, that I am not against and I'm not for vaccinations. I am for informed choice. I am for vaccine safety. Because the moment I say I'm not vaccinated, I don't get vaccines. I had maybe 4 when I was a child. My kids had 8 when they were kids, because that was what it needed to be. But now there's like 70. And so they're saying there's nothing wrong with vaccines. So I just published from the CDC the list of ingredients in our vaccines. It's incredible. It is incredible what's in our vaccines. And so we just think that because it's being administered, that it's safe, and it's not. So I think we need to stop and take a stand for ourselves and say, okay, what's in it? But we don't care. I don't know what it is. What is your, because you're talking to people day in and day out about fluoridation and water, and you have a bunch of people that are saying, you're whacked. That, and you've done the research, and they've apparently have done the research.
I think a lot of them haven't actually looked into it. They just assume, and I think it has to do with how people view authority. Like they think, oh, well, it's the federal government. There's no way they could be wrong. There's just so many experts who have looked at this, and they've been doing it for so long. And some of it is a generational difference. I've noticed a difference with people's ages and how they respond when I tell them about my story and being hypersensitive to fluoride. Not that it's a hard and fast rule, but sometimes the older generation tends to think like, oh, that can't be true because the government said so, but whereas a lot of the millennials, they know this story, they've heard it so much, and they're like, oh, pollution scandal, got it. Like they know that story. Yeah. So, I've talked to some government officials who have like insight into the CDC, like longtime public health service officials, and they see a parallel because with fluoridation, it was described to me as like public health policy, like the green zone, like if it falls, people will lose all faith in public health policy because fluoridation has been going on for so long.
No,
so
but I'm sorry. I wish that were true. What I'm trying to say, I wish that were true. They've done it so many times. Look at cigarettes. They did it with the nicotine in the cigarettes, right? They also did it with the DDT. And that was supposed to be safe. And now we're losing our bees, we're losing our crop. Now we have fluoride in our water. Now they're talking about vaccines and forcing people to do vaccines. But there's that distraction. You're for or against. Let's turn everybody against you because you have done the research and you believe a certain way. I don't believe either that they have done the research. Because if they were to do the research and they actually were to take it serious, they would know that if somebody wants to have fluoride, and maybe they're making it about the sugar and needing stuff for the teeth, I can always add a tablet to my water if I wanted fluoride, just like I could always go and vaccinate myself if I wanted to do that as well. Or if I wanted, pesticides in my food, I can buy commercial grade food. I choose not to do that. But I know
with fluoride, they'll make it a socioeconomic issue. Like younger or low income communities can't afford fluoride, even though it's a very inexpensive supplement, and they could just redirect the money they were spending on fluoridation to like supplements for people who want fluoride supplements. But they use that as an argument that, oh, this is actually helping underprivileged children who can't afford fluoride or whose parents wouldn't have them brush their teeth or whose parents aren't taking them to the dentist.
That's
when
not
really
real.
The problem is much more complex than that. These children aren't getting oral health care because it's expensive and they can't afford it. And a lot of dentists don't accept government assistance for like Medicaid or Medicare. So they're not getting good nutrition. So those are really the roots of the problem. And we're just trying to like bypass all of that and put fluoride in the water, and it's not even having the benefits that they really need.
No, as a matter of fact, when I heard Paul, and Paul was on the show as well, Professor Paul Connett, he was saying that there's really not that big of an improvement by putting fluoride in the water. And that what you're talking about is that distraction that the vax, are you for or against? Are you for or against? It's a distraction to the truth, which is the truth is that we're not consenting to this, and we're drinking it without even knowing. There's got to be something that can be done. And I'm so glad that you're doing this. And I'm wondering, for those of you who are watching on Facebook, are you outraged? Are you what? I know Tracy loves you. Tracy is a huge fan. She's saying, God bless you, Melissa. And so you're doing amazing work. And I am joining that choir as well, because I think that everybody, there's an expression that says, God doesn't call the equipped. God equips the called. So for those of us who think, well, what can I do? You can do a lot, because the moment you say yes, you will be given whatever you need to make it so. Like, I didn't know, and probably people say I still don't know how to do a radio show, because I've got a lot of people that have opinion about how I do my show, and you'll find that out soon, my dear. And but here's the thing. I said yes. You said yes. And look at how much you've learned from this. And now you're even starting your own podcast. That's wonderful. So what can we do with you? Let's go over that one more time so that you can hear it, that we need your help. We have got to, I alone am one person. Melissa alone is one person, but together we are an overwhelming majority. And we've got to let our voice be heard. So what can we do?
Well, I mentioned the petition. If you want to sign the petition. So
I already did.
Awesome. Yes.
Yes.
There's over 3,000 signatures. We still have a long way to go, but we have.
How many do we need?
Oh, as many as we can get, but I want to get it into the hundreds of thousands. I think that will really help get attention. But a petition alone, is not going to get us where we need to go. And if you really want to get involved, you could join Gallico Studios, which is the production studio that I set up. It's community funded, community driven. So we are a small group of activists. And I think of it as like my brain trust of people who, when I decided I wanted to write more books, and I wanted to launch this podcast, and I wanted to create a YouTube series to help raise awareness of this issue. These are the people that I take those ideas to and say, who should we have on the show? How should we handle YouTube? Those kind of, like, how can we support this group in this town, or like the state of Kentucky, there was a bill introduced this year to end mandatory fluoridation. So how can we support them? So it's like my brain trust of people. Anyone can join the studio. It's like $1 a month for the basic. There's different perks. If you want to be an executive producer on the podcast, it's a bigger fee, or like you could be a producer for $5 and I'll put your name in the videos, stuff like that.
I need to do that for my show too.
Yeah.
We need to talk after the show.
Yeah, it's on Patreon, which is a website for creators, people who create things to be supported by patrons, like back in the day when there were patrons for the arts. And so these are my patrons, and they allow me to spend my time and all my energy, which I did anyway, but I didn't have a budget for it. But now I actually have like a budget for getting these projects off the ground and hopefully making a big impact and really changing the narrative on fluoridation. Because right now people think, oh, it's good for you, it's good for your teeth, and they know nothing about the pollution scandal behind it.
No. And I'm loving all the love. I want to hear from you. Where are you listening from? I want to hear what your feelings are. Have you signed the petition yet? The petition is at gallico.co, right?
Yes, gallico.co. Yeah, there's a link to it. It's on change.org, but the website will take you there.
Change.org. And so there's so much that we don't know. And I asked this question to Professor Connett when we were on, because I read, and he came back with, this is the misinformation that makes us that makes the people who want to take fluoride out of the water look like we don't know what we're talking about. And I'm glad that I had mentioned it, because they can come back and say, well, this is not really real. And so the question was that, wasn't Hitler using fluoride to kind of make the people docile? And he said, no, that is a myth that's out there. Does fluoridation cause for a person to become docile?
That's not one of the side effects that you see in the literature. You know, I have seen that as well on different blogs or websites, or just different comments on YouTube where people will talk about Hitler or commies. And I agree with Dr. Connett. It really takes away from the scientific argument. There's an overwhelming amount of science. Like when you have the entire EPA union voting unanimously that the science of fluoridation is fraudulent and falsified, that's all you need. You don't need, it to be, I don't know if Hitler used it in a concentration camp.
But what I also read, that fluoride causes calcification in your pituitary. And
the pineal gland.
The pineal gland. I'm sorry, the pineal gland.
Yes. Yeah, it does. And that's easy to test. And it was a graduate student in the UK who did her thesis on that. And she dissected 11 human pineal glands and found outrageous amounts of fluoride. I think it was the highest measurements that had ever been measured in the human body. And that, to me, is just mind-blowing that it was a graduate student who did that. Why aren't our government officials looking at that? Because the pineal gland is a brain organ, and it's very, we need it for producing melatonin and regulating our circadian rhythm. And there are so many people in the United States who have sleep issues. I'm sure in other countries as well, who have problems sleeping. And, does that play a role? Is it because of the way fluoride affects our brain function?
It's just amazing, all the other things. So Emma, thank you for saying she's listening in Bakersfield, California. Oh, and we've been talking about California and your grapes and your raisins and your wine. So please forgive us, but I'm glad that you signed the petition. I'm glad that you signed. Who else has signed the petition that's watching today? That we need to get everybody excited about this, because again, that petition, I mean, how long have you been working on this petition, Melissa?
I actually launched the petition before I even published the book. I put it up there. I haven't really promoted it. I just have left it there. I kind of think of it as a cake baking in the oven, and I just leave it there. And then I try to promote the book. I try to raise awareness of fluoridation in general. And I figure, the more success we have the more shows that I can come on, and the more people start talking about it with their friends and their relatives, we'll just naturally get more signatures on that petition.
Wonderful. So here's what I'm going to ask, because I left my whole part of, going to whenyouneedafriend.com and subscribing there so that you can join this movement of taking 100% ownership of our life and figuring out different ways to improve our life. And so by becoming a subscriber at whenyouneedafriend.com, you also are joining our tribe, and you'll know who we're going to have on the show, what time they're going to be on, because we're doing things a little bit different just to see. Is 5 o'clock? Do you like 5 o'clock? Do you like 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time? Sorry, California. But, and here we go again. Michelle's from California. You must have a lot of fans from California. So here we go. That's where we have this conversation. So go to whenyouneedafriend.com, subscribe. Also, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and like me and follow me on Facebook.com, Lillian's radio show, and all the social medias. And you can just click on, if you want to listen live, and it's the time, you can just go to whenyouneedafriend.com, click on the button that says listen live on Facebook, and you're able to just connect right then and there. So there's different ways to stay connected, but I ask you, I'm committed to a holistic, alternative, different ways that we can heal our bodies naturally. So we have Keep Me Safe Organics, which is the makeup I use. Everything is natural, 100% non-synthetic. You will never find anything in there other than organic, natural, essential oils. And so if you go to that, you get 10% off your entire purchase by entering Lily10. And then, of course, First Alternative Care. These are like-minded companies that are they're saying, we believe in this. And so First Alternative Care is 24/7 telemedicine for the entire household for $35 a month. And so that's for the entire household. And everybody is included, and it's unlimited family practice, dermatology, as well as 3 hours a year of behavioral health. So let's figure out ways to help one another out. And Melissa right now needs our help because she is actually helping us. She is serving us in our community. So we need to sign the petition. So Michelle is in, I don't know if you can see this, Melissa. She's in Tehachapi. Where's that? Did I say that correctly, Michelle? Oh, it's in California. Okay, it's in California. Okay, so for those of you who want to help, go to change.org, sign the petition, share this video, like this video, promote it, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook. Let's get everybody to learn this new truth. Melissa, is there anything that you would like to add that we didn't cover during the show or the broadcast?
No, just if you can't find it at change.org, go to gallico.co, Gallico. You'll see the link to the petition there, and it also has the information if you want to join the studio and really get involved in taking down fluoridation wherever you live, not just US based, but we really want to end it on the global scale. And I think, when the US ends it, other countries will certainly follow suit, but maybe it'll start in other countries. Canada is having a lot of success reducing their fluoridation rate, and that can only help other efforts in other parts of the world. So Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, all these places that are fluoridated because the US says it's a good idea. It was our idea. Hopefully we can end it there as well.
Very good. And what about, you talked about the shower. Are there any fluoride-free dechlorinators out there that you could recommend?
I'm really glad you asked that because we were just talking about this, and I have a private Facebook group for people who are trying to get fluoride out of their lives, so out of your diet, out of your water supply. Yeah. And someone asked this question about filtering fluoride from the shower water, and I have never been able to find a filter that's effective at that. I've always said you need to put a whole house filter on because there's nothing like just for the shower. Some of them claim to be, but
I found something just recently, but I could not get the statistics on.
Yeah, there's a lot of inflated claims when it comes to water filters and fluoride. So the shower, it's high output, it's usually hot water, and they're not effective at removing fluoride. But a brilliant woman in my group, she's actually a biochemist, I believe, and she worked in water treatment for a very long time, said, here's how I do it. And she had a brilliant system. It was an RO system that she hooked up to her shower. It was heated. It was, and she captured this water, and then she used that for drinking. And then this, she had it all set up. I said, can you show some pictures of that? She put pictures in the group. So if you want that idea and to collaborate with like-minded people like that, who have these very creative solutions for difficult ways to get fluoride out of your life, look for us on Facebook. It's called Fluoride Free Faces. It's a private group, so you'll have to ask permission. Say you heard about it on the Lillian McDermott show, or just there's a couple questions to answer. I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page with wanting to end fluoridation. I don't want to get any trolls in the group who are going to start arguing about that.
Yeah, trolls be gone.
Yeah, no, this is just for people who already want to end it. They want to get it out of their life, and they want to collaborate with other people and for ideas. So it's a great resource for that. Some really, really smart people in the group.
So we have Emma, who says that she says she has such great photos with labels and everything. So
Yeah, the
thank you,
woman who took
Emma.
the picture, she labeled everything like, here's the input, here's the RO filter, here's the heater, here's the thermostat, and it's a solution that's under $200. It was really impressive.
I'm in. I
Yeah.
am signing up today. I'm going to join your fluoride free faces. And I just yesterday washed my face with my RO water. And I just want you to know that we're going to be giving it. It's called Zip. It's
Yes.
called Zip, and it's zero installation for over the counter. It looks like a coffee maker. I'm going to be reviewing it. I've been drinking it now for the last, I don't know, several months, and I wanted to wait for a while before putting a review, because once you do a review, it's out there forever.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
wanted to try it for a while, and so now I'm washing because of your suggestion and reading the book. I'm washing my face with RO water, but that was so I started doing research about, the dechlorinators that have no fluoride in it. Again, I could not find not one that would give me the research for my shower. And here I am taking these wonderful showers, but where I live in Melbourne, Florida, or in Cape Canaveral, there is fluoride in our water. So I'm going to have to shower military style. You know about that.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so for those of you, anybody, if you have any comments, thank you so much for your support. All the love that we got during the show was amazing. I love seeing, there's some more hearts. I don't know if you can see it, Melissa, but we're getting lots of, we got a little tear. Is that because we're closing up shop here? But anyway, thank you so much for everything. And please share this, and let's be an overwhelming majority. Together we can make this. And you've got my support, Melissa. I've already signed, and let me know what else I can do to support you. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for spreading the word on your show.
Oh, my pleasure. We have to, we have got to take care of ourselves. We've got to learn this new truth. And if we don't take care of ourselves and we give our power away, that's why depression and anxiety, all those different things occur, because once we give our power away, we automatically disconnect with self. And if we want to build a tribe, we've got to start with ourself. Does that make sense?
That's a great quote.
Really? Okay, I'll do a little
build
meme.
a tribe. We got to start with ourselves. That's good.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
I'm doing a meme tonight.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And I hope that you will be a voice, that you will continue this voice, and we can stand together. Together, we are stronger than by ourselves. So thank you so much. And we'll look forward to our next conversation on Facebook Live. We'll talk to you soon. Say bye, Melissa.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay. And I'm going to stop the recording.
All right.